welcome to another deep dive. I want you to imagine for a second that you are 11 years old.
Okay, 11, that's what, middle school?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Middle school. And you're tagging along to an entertainment audition. But you're just there to support your older brother, right? Like, he's a break dancer, he's got the moves, he's ready for his big break.
Right, the classic supportive sibling setup.
Exactly. But by the end of the night, the talent scouts, they aren't signing him. They're actually pointing at you. They're offering you the contract.
Oh, wow. Talk about a plot twist.
I know, right? And it's not just to sing a few songs on the weekend. They want you to drop out of school, undergo this grueling full-time training, debut at 13, and eventually become like a literal cultural diplomat bridging two historically tense nations.
It's wild because we usually look at child stars as these, I don't know, fragile entities who kind of stumble into the spotlight. But this is a completely different mechanism.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, we are looking at an adolescent who was handed the weight of an entire multi-million-dollar industry's global ambitions. And this is before she was even old enough to drive.
It's just unimaginable pressure when you strip away the glamour. Today's Deep Dive is into Kwon Boa, who is known globally to millions simply as Boa.
The undisputed queen of K-pop.
The queen. We have this incredible stack of sources cracking her 25-year journey. From being that child trainee at SM Entertainment all the way back in 1998 to this massive turning point in March 2026 when she launched her own independent agency, Boa Entertainment.
Right, and to understand the modern global dominance of K-pop today, like the sold-out stadiums in London or the Billboard charts, you absolutely have to understand Boa.
Yeah, she was really the blueprint.
She didn't just participate in the Korean wave, she spearheaded it. Before groups could just export their music via YouTube algorithms, she was the pioneer who physically crossed borders.
Right, she had to actually be there.
Exactly. In many ways, her early career was like the active R&D department for the entire modern K-pop industry. Every triumph and misstep created the rulebook they still use.
So think about what you were doing at 13. I was probably trying to figure out a locker combination. Boa's debut is comparable to an adolescent being drafted as an unofficial international ambassador for a massive corporation.
Which is just a staggering thing to expect from a kid.
It is. So how does a child actually shoulder that? Let's get into the context here. The post-World War II cultural climate between South Korea and Japan was, well, incredibly tense.
Extremely tense. For decades, South Korea had a strict ban on Japanese cultural imports.
Right. But in the early 2000s, things are just beginning to cautiously open up. South Korea implements this open-door policy, finally lifting the ban.
Yeah, and this was aided by the fact that the two nations were gearing up to co-host the 2002 FIFA World Cup. So geopolitically, the door is just slightly cracked open.
And SM Entertainment decides to push a teenager right through it, which takes us back to that 1998 audition. Her parents, initially, and very understandably, opposed her leaving school.
I mean, of course they did.
Right. But the sources note it was actually her older brothers, Soonhwan and Soonwook, who convinced them to let her pursue it.
That family dynamic is the catalyst for everything. So she enters 2 years of incredibly intense training. And it wasn't just, learning choreography. The agency had her taking rigorous English and Japanese lessons.
Because they saw that geopolitical opening.
Exactly. When she debuted in South Korea in August 2000 with the album ID, Peace Be, she was just 13.
And it was a moderate success. Hit the top 10, sold around 156,000 units. Yeah. But I was shocked reading this because Korea wasn't actually the main target at all.
No, not at all.
They were aiming for Japan, which was the second largest music market in the world. So they pulled her out of the Korean music industry entirely. She quit school, took a hiatus from her home country, and just worked relentlessly on her Japanese.
Right. SM Entertainment partnered with the Japanese label Avex Trax. It was a massive gamble, but Japanese consumers at the time wouldn't fully embrace a completely foreign product.
So they went for full cultural immersion.
Yes. She was singing at an Avex-owned club called Velfar, performing live to hone her stage presence in front of these demanding local crowds. It wasn't some polished arena tour.
It was ground-level audience building. And the sources mentioned she even hosted a Japanese radio program called Beat It Boa's World.
Oh, that radio show is such a key detail.
Right. I think it's the key to the whole strategy. She was speaking conversational Japanese, making small mistakes, laughing about them. She was building this parasocial relationship with the Japanese public.
She embedded herself. She didn't just export Korean music, she localized herself and became a true cultural envoy. And the results were staggering.
Completely staggering.
Her debut Japanese album, Listen to My Heart, dropped in March 2002. It debuted at the very top of the Oricon chart, which is essentially Japan's Billboard chart.
Making it the first album by a Korean artist to ever achieve that.
Exactly, and it became a certified million seller.
Imagine the historical weight of a Korean artist dominating Japanese charts just decades after the cultural ban. And her 2005 compilation album, Best of Seoul, sold over 1 million copies too. She was the first non-Japanese Asian singer to have 2 million selling albums there.
And that record for a non-Japanese artist selling over 1 million copies, it stood for 16 straight years. BTS was the one to finally break it in 2021.
That is insane longevity. But, hyper-localizing a teenager comes with a ticking clock. Eventually, that 13-year-old is going to grow into a young adult.
And the pop music machine does not handle autonomous young women very well.
Oh, it really doesn't. Which brings us to 2004. With her Korean album My Name and 2005's Girls on Top, she completely sheds that cute, youthful styling. She adopts a much more mature, sultry look.
Signaling she is no longer a child.
Right. And of course, the public pushes back. Sales in Korea actually began to decline slightly. Fans are basically saying, we want the old baby Boa back.
It's that sense of ownership fans feel. They think they raised the artist.
Exactly. I love her response to this, though. She said, quote, I just keep growing up. I can't stop that from happening.
It's so simple, but so profound. She's aging in real time.
Right. She's not a cartoon character. She also faced heavy criticism from music purists, claiming she was just a, quote, manufactured pop star because agency staff wrote and produced everything.
But her response to that was incredibly pragmatic. She acknowledged that if one person forced their will on a massive production, things could go wrong. She actually stated she wasn't unhappy being called manufactured, because SM Entertainment created the environment that allowed her success.
She didn't resent the system at all.
Yeah.
She mastered it. But navigating that system across 2 countries was a political tightrope. We have to look at this 2004 controversy to see how precarious it was.
Yeah, the donation controversy.
Right, so she donated 50 million won to a memorial project for An Jung-geun. And as our sources explain, he is celebrated as a heroic figure of independence in Korea, but historically the Japanese state views him as a criminal for his assassination of a Japanese statesman.
And we are definitely not here to adjudicate the historical politics of the region.
No, definitely not.
But objectively, this friction highlights her impossible situation. Every move she made was scrutinized through conflicting cultural lenses. She was a Korean citizen honoring a prominent figure in her country's history while reigning as the biggest pop star in Japan.
The fact that she survived that dual-nation scrutiny is a testament to her resilience. But eventually, Asia wasn't enough. In 2008, she makes an American gamble.
Right, she aims to be a world-renowned entertainer, citing Janet Jackson as an inspiration.
The rollout was ambitious. Her debut American single, Eat You Up, charted at number 9 on the Billboard Hot Dance Club Play chart.
And in 2009, she releases a self-titled English album with top Western producers.
It made history. First K-pop artist on the Billboard 200, debuting at 127. She headlined San Francisco Pride, performed in New York, Anaheim. On paper, it looks like a breakthrough, but behind the scenes, it was a profound struggle.
The reality was brutal. Learning English was significantly tougher for her than Japanese. And there's this deeply poignant detail in the sources. She lived in an upscale neighborhood in West Beverly Hills, but she found it incredibly difficult to make friends.
I mean, imagine being in your early 20s. You're one of the most famous women in Asia, but you're sitting alone in a house in Beverly Hills.
Stripped of your support network.
Exactly. Struggling with a new language, carrying the financial expectations of a multinational corporation.
And while she's trying to break America, her momentum in Japan suffers. Her 2010 Japanese album Identity only charted at number 4. Because she was in the U.S., she had very little Japan promotion.
Which ended her streak of 6 consecutive #1 albums on the Oricon chart. It just highlights the reality of the pre-streaming era. Trying to break into the U.S., Japan, and Korea simultaneously was like playing chess on 3 boards in 3 different cities.
You had to physically travel for radio tours and mall appearances. Without algorithms, your physical presence was the algorithm. The American gamble proved it was physically impossible to sustain a career in 3 distinct territories simultaneously back then.
So she hits a ceiling in the U.S., takes a hit in Japan, and pivots again. She returns to Asia. But she doesn't just regress. She shifts from being the product to the architect.
Yes, she becomes a judge on the audition program K-pop Star. She received immense praise for her insightful comments there.
Showing everyone that the manufactured star actually knows exactly how the factory works.
Right, and then in March 2014, we had a massive milestone. SM Entertainment appoints her as a creative director, and her specific portfolio, mental care for artists who debut at a young age.
The poetic justice in that is just incredible. The girl who debuted at 13, who carried the company's global expansion and experienced that bitter isolation in Beverly Hills, is now tasked with protecting the mental health of the next generation.
Because she survived it. She channeled her survival into structural change, and creatively, she takes the reins too. In 2015, she releases Kiss My Lips, her first entirely self-written and self-produced album.
Cementing her as the industry's elder stateswoman. Moving into the 2016 to 2026 era, she refuses to just be a nostalgia act. She joins the supergroup Got the Beat in 2022.
Performing with artists who literally grew up idolizing her.
Yeah. And she continues acting. She took a role in the 2024 drama Marry My Husband. Our sources note it actually received negative reviews, but I think that's crucial. It proves she's still taking genuine risks and willing to fail publicly.
Growth requires the willingness to fail.
Right.
And she drops her 11th studio album, Crazier, in August 2025. But all of this was building toward a monumental turning point.
Right. On January 12, 2026, SM Entertainment announced her contract had expired on December 31st, 2025. She ended a 25-year tenure.
A full quarter of a century.
The agency that discovered her 11 is finally in her rearview mirror. And then in March 2026, she launches her own independent agency, PayPal Entertainment.
And the name Bapal stands for Boa and Pal, meaning friends or fans. It signifies a goal to build a company collaboratively with her fans, a closer, more organic infrastructure after decades in a top-down corporate structure.
It's the ultimate evolution. From a 13-year-old trainee who did what she was told to the CEO of her own destiny. By 2026, her legacy is untouchable. Mnet named her one of the 100 most influential artists in South Korean music.
The true legacy is the sheer number of modern idols who cite her as a pioneer. Members of aespa, Girls' Generation, SHINee, BTS, twice. It spans generations.
There's that quote from aespa's Giselle that sums it up. She said, quote, "Everyone knows her. She's not just famous, she's a legend."
A legend built brick by brick across decades of grueling work.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. That 11-year-old girl waiting at an audition. She became the literal blueprint for the globalization of K-pop. Every group selling out arenas today is walking on a road she paved by hand.
And that raises an important thought for us to leave you with. Boa did the grueling physical work to bridge markets before the internet made it seamless. Now, with Bapal Entertainment launching in 2026, how will her transition from a child star to a fully independent music executive redefine what the second half of a K-pop idol's career can actually look like?
It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch her write this next chapter.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.